Jitters on your Facebook, left on for your PC, whatever you call it.
Alright, greetings, boils and ghouls, children of all ages. What is the age now for smoking? Is this 21 now, right? I believe it's 21. Just want to say good morning, y'all. Don't normally even like saying y'all. Don't forget to like us. Please like us. Just do what you can. And just, press that little button over there. I'm not good at doing that. Camera left, camera right. I always screw that up. So, now, I want to start with our normal beginnings. So, cheers. Okay, so welcome. We are at STS Chicago. What is this? This is the Cyber Monday issue, November 28th of 2022. And we were talking about movies last time, I believe. So we were talking about movies last time. And I think we left off with I believe we left off in the Marvel universe. And so more people believe that comic books can be film. Didn't seem like that argument really carried much weight. More people seem to be on the side of the Marvel teams, which is I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. Let's go ahead and move this. I'm not exactly sure if that's a good thing because, like I said before, as Quentin Tarantino had pointed out, it is the only type of movie that seems to be getting any kind of real advertising and real promotion. It seems like more production companies will tend to go that route. Now, before I had talked about Sylvester Stallone in the film The Samaritan. We were talking about Samaritan one time, and I was trashing the hell out of this movie. Samaritan had it was like a RoboCop if RoboCop had no clue what they were doing. That's honestly how it felt, and that's really the impression that I get. If I were to quote Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, that's the impression that I get. It could have gone a different way, but it just simply didn't. Now, it's funny that I mentioned that he was very uninspiring in that movie. The town itself really could have been its own character. The backstory could have used a lot less subtle hinting because, as I had stated before, the ending had nothing. The ending had really nothing to offer me. It was just a very bad ending. Where, I called it. I think I called that movie about an hour and 10 minutes left to go, and that was the first thought I had. Spoiler alert. So when they just kept using the term, good guy, it just kept making me think, all right, they're going back to this backstory of Sylvester Stallone. Now, if you didn't watch the movie, it's simply about two heroes, and these. Well, one's a hero, one's a villain. They're brothers. It's like a Loki and a Thor kind of position, but he eventually kills the other, and we are to believe that Sylvester Stallone is the good guy that was a Samaritan rather than the red guy who had his own name. I can't seem to remember it because, like I said, the movie was very unremarkable. Very unremarkable. Now, and I stated about the backdrop of the city being very unremarkable. And there were just so many opportunities I felt like just went to waste, as where RoboCop had really dived you into the world that was Detroit. Of course, Detroit hated being looked at in that light, but I mean, they weren't complaining about, all the toys being sold and all the movie tickets being sold. So he's now in Paramount Plus's new series Tulsa King, where after all this time, this is one of the first times I think I've seen him play a gangster. I believe in Get Carter, he was a cop. I remember Get Carter was his closest thing. But it's just so funny how that is the complete opposite of Samaritan. And it's a lot more ambiguous. There's more ambiguity. It's a lot more ambiguous. It's a lot more original. Sylvester Stallone plays Dwight, who is named after Dwight Eisenhower. He plays a character named Dwight Manfredi, and he really is. He really comes in in his own on this. I really enjoyed his performance. I don't know if anyone else has been watching it. They're on their third episode now that just aired last night. Well, it aired yesterday. I watched it last night, and I was very happy with it. I had a feeling from the very beginning that he was going to have the actress had established the fact that she worked for. Oh, I seem to be frozen. So once after the scene where they had sex and then she was running out, later on we see she's an ATF agent, and right then and there, that's just the end of the first episode, so I'm not spoiling anything. It's just the first episode. They're on episode 3 now, and I'm wondering if this show is gaining a fan base, because I definitely think it deserves one. So, if you're a fan of the show Tulsa King, I think we're going to have more dives into it, because again, just know where you're going, and make sure you like this guy right here. Every time you like him, a baby panda grows its wings, so do that. Now, to have gone from Samaritan to Tulsa King is like, I don't know, it's like going from it's like going from I'm trying to think of something that they really had if you've ever seen a movie called Nothing, there's a movie called Nothing, and I believe the two actors literally are in this like empty white field, And it's like that compared to Avatar, there's so much going on. And it also has the actor who played Herc in The Wire, and it seems like it always works that way. If you I don't know. I first noticed that with Seinfeld. Seinfeld was the first show I noticed that in, where if you had worked for them and you had been a part of that show before, then you got a job afterward. And how you doing, Scott? If you remember that show, you remember a lot of people from Seinfeld ended up getting a lot of side gigs, from Will and Grace to pretty much any sitcom that had really gone on from there. It was constantly these people having different shows. The only people that didn't get shows after that were the main cast, and that's why they had always called it the Seinfeld curse. And so as I was saying before, it's apples and oranges to deal with these two different series. Well, one's a movie, one's a series, and Sylvester Stallone definitely plays a character that is not trying to. He's not trying to be anything else. Like, I would be expecting his acting to try to go with a Robert De Niro type of voice, and then yelling, quietly. The strong, silent type that you would expect any mafioso to play. And seeing Herc from The Wire with hair alone is a little off-putting. I don't know if that's his real due. Then, I mean, God bless him, but I don't know where you can find a wig like that. He has such a strange hairdo as opposed to watching him in The Wire. But as I was saying with the Seinfeld thing, how it seemed like everyone after Seinfeld seemed to get jobs. That's how it was with The Wire, The Wire and The Sopranos. It seemed like if you had a B-roll on those shows, you were pretty much guaranteed to be in a Showtime movie or a some sort of docu-series on Cinemax or whatever. It tended, I don't even know if there is a Cinemax, but my point being, it seems like that for more than just a season or two, you get, it seems like you get a leg up in the business. And so the earlier question that I had asked was asking if people had agreed with Martin Scorsese saying that Marvel movies are like amusement park rides rather than going to a real film. And like I said, it both sides of the argument, because it ended up offending a actor from the MCU, which I believe was the main character of I don't remember the name of the movie. It was really it was not that special, but it was The Secret of the Rings or something, and it was about it was all focused about these Chinese fighters. So I think his name was Shin. He had basically argued with Quentin Tarantino after saying that what he said about Marvel films not being real movies, and you could totally understand where he's coming from. This is a guy that didn't really have any movie career, and when you're picked up by a large company like Disney, you're going to be pretty damn thankful for a job like that. So I can definitely see why he doesn't want to bite the hand that fed him, and keep yourself in good standing with a company like Disney is definitely a good idea career wise. Whereas Quentin doesn't even need to be in this argument. He's famous enough. He doesn't need the attention. So we all know Quentin Tarantino to be an outspoken filmmaker. So I don't see how this is surprising anybody. But I'd just like to know, where do people stand on that? Do they consider Marvel movies to be real movies or not? So yesterday we were lucky enough to have Lainey Rodriguez over here, and she was throwing in some questions that were good, and she was throwing in comments that made a lot of sense. I mean, the main argument here is, do we really believe that Marvel cares about its actors more than they care about their characters? And of course not. Of course not. They care more about their they own the characters. They don't own the actors, If you go in the the later amendments after 12, go around 8, 13, 18. We have amendments against things like that. It's called the abolishment of slavery. Okay, so Disney can own a character, but they can't own a person. So of course they're always going to do what's in the best interest of the character. And if an actor dies during filming, after filming, regardless, I don't necessarily find them to be evil for reusing images of this person, just as long as the credit is given where credit's due, as long as and I mean that, from a financial standpoint as well as from a respectful standpoint. And the death of Chad Bosewick was such a huge it was such a huge thing to happen for Marvel, because not only did it happen to I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but when it happened to their black superstars who they want to push more, because obviously they want to push out their agenda, being very pro LGBTQ, because Disney has always distanced themselves from the topic, but at the same time has done a great job. They've done a great job avoiding the topic and then trying to, quote unquote, go with the little people and get on the side of the good guy. So if anyone knows what I'm talking about, please add on. But personally, I can see it either way, and I do agree that you're not voting for, or you're not rooting for Chris Evans to make it on top of the mountain. You're rooting for Iron Man. You're always going to be it's always going to be the character before the actor. So the best way to make a movie is by introducing characters that no one's ever heard of or no one's ever seen, because it gives them more of an input or an output. They can really be more objective to the characters, and the basic public doesn't really know what the hell they want until you really show them what you have and let people let people invest their emotions into these characters that you've built organically, rather than fighting over a already already built-in fan base. Because when you have an already built-in fan base, you for one have to keep that fan base, and so you obviously have to cater to them. But the problem with that is that when you're catering to one audience that is so esoteric, it's hard for you to be able to identify with the regular person. Excuse me. The regular person doesn't have lasers shooting out of their eyeballs, so it just makes sense. It just makes sense for movie makers in this day and age to feel that they're being pushed out because, well, we need to find the next Marvel thing or the next DC thing because we need our, honestly, I call it, we need our DJ money. And that was lightning in a bottle. You already had a household name that is making his comeback, that like Lena and I already, or Lainey and I already said, that this movie was just fantastic. And the fact that you already have this household name coming back, and you know that he's coming back with the goods. He's able to not only act again, but he's better. He's more focused, and he even got paid less than Terrence Howard did when Terrence Howard did Iron Man 1, which was surprising to some people, but was not surprising to Our Fair Lady. I like to say Our Fair Lady Howard, because Terrence Howard is... I think the French call him a... what do they call Terrence Howard? Oh, a overprivileged Hollywood bitch. And he is to acting what Vijay Singh is to golf. And if you do not understand that reference, great, because you weren't really supposed to. So my point is simply that I think Vijay Singh was a prick. I met him once at the I went to the Western Open back when there still was a Western Open. Now I believe it's called the BMW. This used to be over at this used to happen at a course in Illinois that was very well known to us. And I've even played, Cog-Hill. It's probably one of the most beautiful courses and the most difficult courses I've ever played. And what was really pathetic was that these guys actually had to cut down so much of the game. They had to cut out so much of the hazards, and it's just, these golfers today are not the same golfers from the 86 Masters. And I think I've mentioned before that I actually was a golfer. But my point being, um, in life, it seems like someone keeps moving the goalposts, making our goals and our aspirations that much further. Whereas in golf, it's the only sport. Well, it's not the only sport, but it's definitely the one where they are making it the absolute easiest it can be. Now, I don't I don't think, nor do I expect anyone that watches basketball, or if you watch baseball or football, I don't think you would want to watch the game get easier. Uh, I don't want to see guys hit, you know, uh, I don't want to see guys hit a 400 yard drive like Happy Gilmore, unless this man is skilled and knew how to work out and strengthened his legs and had, big legs like Jack had when he played. He had really big legs, so this is a big dude. And his shots were 400. If they hit 400, it was because he hit the shit out of that ball. It wasn't because the ball was made out of some plastic, synthetic, blah blah blah, and his his club was made of some titanium alloy with a special part of it that's made from spaceships. I mean, I literally bought a damn oversized driver that had a piece of something they use for military aircraft, and I thought, I shouldn't even have this. Like, this takes all the fun out of the sport, And you know what? Since I jumped to this subject. I want to mention sports in general. I made a song called "The Sports Anthem," and I'll probably play that at the end of this. But the point of it was that sports suck. Now, the reason why I think sports honestly do suck is simple. It's just because it has gotten so goddamn ridiculous. It's easier for everyone. The refs stopped calling charging in basketball a long time ago. I've watched, flagrant fouls, just obvious and right in your face, and they get away with it. You have the Patriots flattening balls. You got baseball players with earbuds. You got like the steroid scandals weren't enough. I honestly didn't understand the steroid scandals because it got to the point where it's saying, everyone's using them, so screw it. Just let them use it, and at least our steroid guy will beat your steroid guy. And we're not. If you've been a sports fan, you shouldn't be oblivious. Hey, Joanna. You shouldn't be oblivious to the fact that these guys use performance enhancing drugs all the time. I mean, to play a sport professionally and play it every day. I mean, when you look at these wrestlers that have to go 300 days a year, I mean, these guys never stop. And so the only one where I think it's gotten so bad. I'm good, Joanna. Right now the subject is on sports. Since I'm not really a big sports fan, I'm basically explaining why. Whereas, most people just tend to like whatever sport is in their town. The reason why I don't like them is because every game has changed since I watched it. When I was watching, um, the Bulls play the Sonics in the '90s and in the early '90s. Oh, I'm sorry, Joanna saying I wish we could be live on with we could talk about it. Oh, there's supposed to be something called like a collaboration mode, but just feel free to add on. Once I figure all that stuff out. Um, I hope you subscribe to this so that way I can throw your name up. So, my point is that within the last, let's say, 30 years, uh, you've watched hockey go from a game of uh, hard hitting action and you had goons. You had the goons' job is to protect the star players. The star players' job is to collect the points. The goalie's job is to block whatever comes at them. And then they have defensemen who are there to fight off the goons. Everything needs a point. Everything has its own point. Everything has its own job. Oh, I'm sorry about that. You gotta. I'm sorry, Joanna. You're gonna have to. You gotta subscribe on YouTube. I'm sorry, honey. You go on YouTube and subscribe to Useless Agent on YouTube, and you get notifications on everything. I tend to use YouTube a lot more than I use anything else, and then I'll be able to. So definitely go on YouTube. That way I can throw up your name and stuff like this. Uh-oh, I froze. There we go. I was saying so. It's gotta be. Just go to. It should be in here. The subscription should be on here, but just put in Useless Agent on YouTube and just subscribe to the page. So yeah. I was just trying to get to the whole point of the whole point is that 30 years ago you had guys like Bob Probert, you had guys like Tony Amani and Ed Belfour for the Hawks. Now, even though we were not winning championships at that point at that time, so that's also what you can do right there. Yep, that's it. And so yeah, my point was that everyone had their job, and your job was to either focus on the star player. That was the goon's job. The defenseman was there to make sure the goon didn't get to the star player. Fights broke out constantly, and if I remember correctly, there was even charity given every time there was a fight. And now, if there's a fight in hockey, they immediately stop it. I apologize to anyone that watches this later and gets confused by the conversation that Joanna and I were having. I was just trying to help her out with the subscription. And that's awesome. Well, thanks for coming in, So, my point was back then you had the star player, you had the goons to protect your star player, and then outside of that you had you had far more than that. You also gave charity every time there actually was a fight. So now when there's a fight, it's over in like 5 seconds, and nobody gets anything. Baseball games are played longer now than I remember they used to take before. You have so much massive amount of cheating. It's just different cheating than what we saw. We saw the Sosa and McGuire fight showdown. And honestly, I didn't care that everyone was on steroids. I honestly didn't care. It was obviously happening, so you might as well just let people do what they're gonna do and go with the whole Gail Bedecker way of looking at life. And remember that consenting adults want what they want, and that's how it works here. So if you can't just understand it, then and you can't move with it, then screw it. So my whole point is that, and so that was just hockey, and now you have basketball. Nobody calls anything. As I was saying, in football you have people cheating in they're just finding different ways to cheat all the time, and after a while it gets to the point where you just become numb to it. And I honestly didn't want to like sports anymore because there was no point. It felt like wrestling to me. Like everything was wrestling to me. And at least wrestling was, in its own way, it's straight up with you. What you see is what you get. And, there's storylines, there's kayfabe, there's marks, there's smarks, there's its own world of crazy characters, crazy fans, crazy people, and people that are some of the nicest and most loving people I've ever met in my fucking life. So I want to say that pure and simple, it's the wrestling fans, the ICP fans, the Slipknot fans. It's the people that you think are going to be the most violent and crazy people that tend to be the sweetest goddamn people you meet in your life. And I'm going to send off with that. That goes my time. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me, for watching the show. Thank you so much for subscribing. Jojo, I really hope you subscribe so we can throw up your name just like that. And yep, all you guys take care of yourselves. And of course, if you need someone to talk to, if you guys ever need someone to be there, we're always around. Just go ahead and message us at uselessagentmusic@gmail.com, and we are happy to talk to all of you. We love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. And as usual, I will see you on the other side.
Useless agent is on your TV, or laptop, or your PC, whatever you call it. Useless agent is on